Welcome to the Galley La Podcast for chapter 1029 of One Piece. So this was a very interesting chapter, don't you think so, Akainu Fanboy?
Yeah, man. I honestly, this is what I really wanted more of Wano to be before we got to Wano. Kind of more supernova interaction, more Straw Hat development.
Yeah, definitely. So from the beginning, we pick up from where we left last chapter with Queen's sword shattering against Sanji, which is always good to see. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so Um, what do you think about Sanji's reaction to the whole, um, to his exoskeleton coming back? Because I thought that it was really in character for him to kind of not abandon the fight, but like he wants to know if he continues fighting, if the exoskeleton will develop more and he'll lose his emotions. I think that's what he's scared about more than anything.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like a little maddening to an extent because there were people in the community saying like, "Oh, this violates Sora's sacrifice and everything," and it didn't really it wasn't efficacious at the end of the day. But then like we see 2 weeks later where Sanji's like freaking out, like, "No, I'm gonna lose my emotions," right? So the emotion aspect was the whole reason why Sora sacrificed herself, and now the same people are like, "Oh, wow, why is he running away from a fight and everything?" Like that's just like so. Um, Childish for him to do. But it's like no, like that's his character. It'd kind of be like if Zoro was like going through this change and he's gonna have the sword ability of Helmeppo and Romance Dawn, or and have the character and the courage of him instead of So like who he is, his manhood, his willpower, his virtue. He was afraid he's gonna lose that. That he's just gonna turn into the thing he hates more. And I'd say his principle and his manhood, like his white knight, if you will, like that's his main goal at the end of the day, right? So of course he's gonna panic about that. He's because he cares about that stuff more than he does his life, which we've seen over and over with his character. Like obviously with the Black Maria scene and Khalifa,
Exactly.
like there's moments where he's willing to just throw away his life. Oh, and then the Kuma scene as well, you know. So that's what's most important to him at the end of the day is who he is, right? And that's going more in line with Sora's sacrifice, that he's an incredibly kind person, like how Reiji said that too. So it's just kind of annoying. Like this is like an amazing, cool natural flow, and I love that with his character. Like he doesn't even care. Like Queen's like shooting all these attacks at him, and he's just running off.
Yeah, and
So
and I actually I appreciate this level of comedy with Sanji rather than all the pervert stuff with him.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
for sure.
Um and I completely agree with you. I was going to bring that up about Sora's sacrifice, but she yeah, her whole thing was that she wanted him to keep his emotions and that's what made him him. And judging by this, he's showing a lot of emotions, being angry
Yeah.
at the fodder that hit him with the bullets, which I think that's the only time we've seen fodder like actually do something in the series, like actually hit someone.
Well, actually, what was it? I was thinking at the end of Whole Cake when the army shows up, and they did actually shoot him when he
Hmm.
was doing the skywalk.
Yeah.
And they made a point like, and Niji's like, "You're too quick. You're gonna be filled with bullets and everything." I mean, you're not. You're too slow. Sorry. And so it's kind of funny that he's already improved already, where he just took those bullets. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. But when Whitebeard took a bullet, it actually hurt him. It doesn't hurt Sanji. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna. It's greater than a Yonko feat at this point. So,
Yeah.
um, one thought I had though. So you're right with the comedy aspect, which I love a lot. It's interesting how he's running. So Oda's like moving the fight. I don't think this is just kind of like a gag, and I think he might actually run into Big Mom.
Oh, that
Um,
would be interesting. I thought he was gonna run maybe into Zoro outside. If
that's
it
possible too.
yeah.
I'd want that also. I think the reason Wally why because obviously this is like his character moment right here, and he could find out what happened to his family if he runs into Big Mom. And I think there could also be a hilarious scene where Queen's shooting off the laser and he accidentally hits Big Mom in the face, and he does the freaked out face again.
Yeah, that would be good.
So I kind of think this would kind of be the fulfillment even more of his character if he were to find out more about what happened to his family, basically, and kind of give him more of a, potential hockey bloom, if you will, or like power up if something bad were to have happened to his family.
We'll bring up hockey blooms later in the chapter. Because I have a theory.
Okay, awesome, cool.
But I think that's all I had to say about Sanji and Queen's part. So I found it hilarious that that Law just basically called Kid deadweight, but that might be this translation of the chapter. But I thought that was hilarious. But I think we might be changing our tone by the end of the chapter. But this was a nice little showing of Kid and Law versus Big Mom, and Law tanking a whole Prometheus attack.
Yeah.
And
that was great.
And Big Mom hitting Kid, but Kid gets right back up.
Yeah.
And
no, Kid did. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, and Kid's like, with all the stuff that Hawkins is doing to him, he's back up and everything. So I think his durability is stronger than we think, despite all the jokes we make about useless Captain Mid.
Yeah.
Oh, also I like that Oda's incorporating Big Mom's like acrobatics from her fight against Kaido that was in the anime.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen her move like this before.
Oh, no, for sure. It's because she's usually just chilling on Zeus, and that's how she moves a lot before. So without Zeus, now we have to kind of see her adapt to her circumstances. It's impressive. I mean, she's had a very impressive showing in Wano so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of fighting at this point, so not much to comment about until I want to comment on Kid's lines toward the end of the chapter. So yeah. I don't know how to feel about we're moving on to Hawkins versus Killer now. I don't know how to feel about Hawkins just kind of headbutting into a wall to cause damage against Kid.
I kind of love it because it's so, like, not his character. This really serious, intelligent guy, and then he's just bashing his head on the wall like Luffy or Sora would, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. I was, like, so confused at first, and then it obviously made sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you've had a migraine that bad, you know that it can, like, knock you out. But we got kind of more insight into Hawkins' character in this, that he kind of chose to side with Kaido because he didn't want any unnecessary bloodshed. He was looking out for himself. He predicts the odds, and he went with him because he was stronger. Not out of principle, but because he would survive. Which plays into his reading the cards and reading the fates. When Apu was already on Kaido's side when he tried to make the alliance, right?
Yes, yeah, he backstabbed them and he set up the fake alliance just for Kaido to capture them all.
Okay. And I think it's interesting that going back to when they did that we've talked about this before, that Kid is basically Luffy without all the luck. So if Luffy was in that position, he would do the same thing as Kid.
Yeah.
In terms of that. And again, that's another thing that we're seeing in this chapter, where Killer's being drawn parallel to Zoro and saying, release kid, you can take my life if you want instead.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
it's the
they
same
are
thing.
treated. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, it's the same thing that Zoro did with Kuma.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you were going to say?
Yeah, but the only difference. Oh, yeah. Though that's a good point. It's a good parallel, but it shows you how radically different Oda treats the kid pirates and Luffy's pirates because, like, imagine if like Luffy lost an arm, a
Mm-hmm.
kid, or like imagine if Zoro had this weird laugh for probably the rest of the series too, and why I like, and I think that's some critiques of One Piece. I wouldn't necessarily take it, but people say nothing. We know the Straw Hats are never gonna die, but it's not even just that. They won't even be like essentially scarred, basically. Well, I guess Luffy was the Akainu, but a little
Mm-hmm.
different. But you get what I mean? Yeah, you're right. They lack the luck, and they actually take L's that substantially affect the crew.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I think um, we're going to see more from Kid based off of this chapter. But we kind of called the whole arms situation with how um, Killer was going to beat Hawkins. With I didn't expect him to like clean slice off Hawkins's arm, but
I didn't either. That was so not One Piece.
yeah, I will say that that panel, I don't know what it is. I think there's less action lines in it, but that panel with Killer cutting off Hawkins's arm is one of my favorite recent One Piece panels. I don't know why. It just looks so clean.
It does. No, it. Like I said, it does not look. It's clean. It doesn't look One Piece because we don't really see limbs fly off too often.
Yeah, it looks actually
Uh,
kind of more like, I don't know if you've ever read Bleach, but Bleach has a lot of like uh, pictures or action scenes where it's just a blank background, and it reminded me of that. But it's nice; you can kind of see everything. But um, yeah, so in reading this, this does bring up a couple questions that I had about Hawkins's uh, abilities. So, in terms of his doll, because he cuts off Hawkins's arm and or Killer does, and he removes Kid's doll from Hawkins's arm. Um, so does his straw dolls, can he put them anywhere on his body, or is it just a specific area? Because I did double check in chapter 1022. uh it, Kid's doll was on that arm that was cut off, but I'm just
okay.
wondering if he couldn't move them around or something, and if like Killer just picks it up and takes the doll out, like how is that possible? Because it's a devil fruit ability.
Uh, I don't. So one, I don't think Hawkins realized the whole arm thing till after the fact.
Hmm.
So maybe you could kind of say it was kind of convenient that that doll just happened to be in there.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe that's the thing. Uh, at the same time, I kind of think with the dolls, yeah, I guess you could. I mean, because the doll's not essential to who he is. Basically, it's not like a uh, paramecia with like Luffy in a way. Like it can kind of be taken off. Kind of, yeah, because we've seen the dolls go out of him before. So, but that's only when he takes like extreme damage. So,
Yeah, so
but I did like it. It's more of a tactical fight between two tactical fighters,
yeah.
which is great.
Hmm. um but I mean, it does kind of not devalue Hawkins, but I mean, Killer's been fighting Kaido and Big Mom, and Hawkins's only real damage has been from like one attack from, or two attacks from Killer. But I mean, one of the attacks was cutting his arm off, so I guess I can give it a pass.
Yeah, I mean he's just a different fighter, and I mean I kind of wish I saw a little bit more from him because it was just kind of a repeat of the Scarecrow, you know. And I guess theoretically he won't be able to use his Devil Fruit ability anymore unless he has his arm healed, because I assume you need both hands for that ability to kind of like shuffle the deck and everything. So that at the very least it'll be a lot harder to do with what he has, which is one hand. Um, and yeah, so I kind of wish we saw a little bit more. And again, this is kind of the thing I kind of dislike about Wano. I wanted to see a lot more from the Supernovas and the Straw Hats, a little less from the Odin storyline and the Scabbards, because this was one of my favorite chapters, really, just to see two supernovas go at it and see their characterization fleshed out. And they've just been a part of the story longer, and we have more expectations to see more of these guys. And I'm not saying the Odin stuff isn't good or anything. I just kind of want more of this. And I guess that's just kind of one point I'll throw out there, though.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, we've been building up this whole Wano story since Punk Hazard. So we did kind of have to have a payoff for all the samurai and stuff. But I don't think that Hawkins' tarot cards are part of his devil fruit. I think that's just a separate thing that he has.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They never really explained that.
No.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think the straw man is distinct from the cards. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was double checking because I was like, when Hawkins was fighting Zoro, when his straw man took damage, he also had like a straw doll take damage for him with that. So shouldn't cutting off the straw man's head with no straw dolls in Hawkins, shouldn't that kill him? Because he has nothing to take damage for him.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I hadn't thought about that.
I double checked, like it was chapter like 913 in like episode 890 something. I double checked both sources and he took damage from the straw doll, or the straw man. But that's probably just an oversight. But
yeah.
But yeah, it is really cool because I know a lot of people were discrediting Killer, like, oh, he's just a fighter. He doesn't have any devil fruit abilities or anything. He's not that strong. Like in all the supernova tier lists that people have put out over the years, he's always been kind of the last or close to the last in terms of his power level. But I think with this, and especially the him being on the roof, he's definitely shot up in terms of my respect for his character and his fighting abilities.
Very much so, and I think he's really going to. I mean, I guess this could be a good segue into Kid in this final panel. What's going to be the next step of the Kid's Pirates, basically? Because obviously Killer's had an impressive showing, and hopefully, finally, Kid's going to have a crazy moment now. He needs it.
Yeah, because yeah, we know that hockey blooms in difficult situations. So, and just going to Kid's words after he was hit with Big Mom's attack in this, he was like, I finally got an opportunity to take down an emperor. If I die like this, my life as a pirate would be a joke. So I feel that's like his willpower and his spirit are kind of strengthening through this fight, because he's been dealing with the damage from Hawkins. He was dealing with the damage from the roof and Big Mom, and I feel like it's all kind of culminating at this point right now, because I mean that final panel with him, he looks sinister in it, like he's ready to throw down and do stuff finally. And I think this is where we're going to see, like, especially his Conquerors show, because we're going to have to focus on their fight with Big Mom with this. I still don't think that they're going to take Big Mom down, but I think they're definitely going to put up more of a fight than they have been doing.
Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm curious. It would be interesting, like, for her to take incredible damage because we never really seen it done. And Law could be very helpful too if he, for him to go crazy. He's a great guy to have right by your side too. So we'll see what happens there. So if he gets extreme damage, or maybe like he'll throw her out at Onigashima or something, and then they get separated that way. Because I do think she's not gonna go down. I don't know. It would just kind of be a little anticlimactic. I kind of wish Oda set up a little bit more the kid versus Big Mom thing, because I still think he does have more of a reason to go after Kaido.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Than Big Mom, So the Hockey Bloom stuff would kind of be more believable, if you will, but which is fine. Like I still think obviously it makes sense in this context. It's just gonna lack a little bit of the same emotion. So if he were to quote unquote take down Big Mom, maybe there's some fake news. Like kid gets credit for taking down Big Mom, but she's still kind of alive somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe she gets washed up in into the giant arc, but she's kind of like reported KIA at that point. So it would be interesting if Kid becomes the next Yonko, but the issue is he only has like Killer, and everybody else on his crew isn't really a variable in strength. So
no love for Heat.
Or what's the other one? Wire. Yeah, I mean, look at their fodder. Even their fodder's trash.
Yeah.
In this panel right here.
Yeah, they didn't really do anything. But
it's the first time we see this fodder, and so maybe he like kind of recruits some powerful pirates after this arc too. If Oda is setting him up, like an upheaval of the established order,
maybe
indicates the opening of a new path. So it will be interesting to see how the Kid Pirates develop here on out.
Yeah, I do think Killer might die this arc, though. I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling that I have.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I did have that Big Mom will escape. So if like Kid forces her off of Onigashima, she could be picked up by her crew and kind of get out of there before CP0 comes. But then she would probably go back to her own island. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with Big Mom, because I strongly believe she's not going down this arc, and you do too.
Yeah, she's probably going to go over to Elbaf next, if I had to guess, in this context. I still think Kid will get credit for defeating her. And so I guess you could say, why will she just go back to Whole Cake? And again, in my headcanon, I think Whole Cake's going to get conquered by the end of Wano. So,
yeah, you think that Blackbeard's going to go there and capture Pudding because she can read the poneglyphs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he's going to take over that territory. It's weak. He knows Big Mom's here. And I also think he can pick up that German technology of the cloning too, which would make him like an extreme issue for the world and a very, very powerful foe to fight Luffy in terms of just manpower. Raw manpower for the final war. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because as it stands, I mean, since he's become an emperor, I think Blackbeard probably has like he has some people in his crew, but like the big names, he doesn't really have anything. But with Germa's cloning technology, yeah, I think that definitely he would be a bigger threat.
They can make tens of thousands of pink beards.
Yeah. Got taken out by the milk girl.
Yeah, gosh, this shows how trash you are if you get taken out by a revolutionary commander. But anyways,
your constant slander of the revolutionaries.
My agenda shall never die. Sorry, revolutionary fanboys, all three of you out there. Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this chapter, and I would say next we're probably gonna see Drake versus Apu.
Oh gosh, it's been like half a year since we've seen them like in a panel. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen next because it looks like Oda wants to clean up these fights first.
Yeah, but really quick with Hawkins. So we, I think when we were talking, this was like months ago, when we were talking about Hawkins' involvement in Wano. We were thinking that he was going to switch sides, or he was going to have something to do with his card powers defeating Kaido. And I guess that's not coming true because I think when he first brought out his straw man, he was talking about how his cards can power up people beyond their limits. So I think we were talking about how they could potentially use that to power up Luffy or someone to help beat Kaido. But then the other thing is Hawkins' prediction of the survivability of that person. What was it, like 1%?
Yes.
And it showed in this chapter. He straight up said, "This isn't what I predicted." In terms of his fight with Killer. So, I mean, it shows that he can be wrong. So, we still don't know who he's talking about, but can we assume that it's Luffy? Or I think it's either Luffy or Kaido. But if it was Kaido, I think he would be more disturbed that he only had 1% chance of making it out alive.
Yeah.
So I think...
Sure. Yeah,
I think it would be Luffy.
So he said it in the context with talking with Drake, though, right? When Drake got caught by Queen and Who's Who, and so he drew that card right after they caught him, like, maybe right before, and that's when he talked about the man having a 1% chance.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious if it's in that context that maybe Drake might die potentially, and I'm not even saying by the Beast Pirates, but CP0 maybe. In the government. I think that's potential. I mean, Drake's such a weird character because he's kind of been such a non-factor in this war so far.
Yeah.
But the potential for his character would be huge for the story.
Yeah, being part of Sword and everything. So Sword is a like a secret military thing. Do you think that Cypherpole knows about it? Or do you think it's something...
Yeah, they described them as enemies, yeah. So they... Yeah, they kind of... The way to describe it, they kind of clash with each other, if you will. You know, just kind of do, like, covert ops, attacking one another.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, a weird Call of Duty reference, but, like, the CIA fighting the KGB during the Cold War when they weren't officially at war kind of thing. Just, like, two covert operations going at each other.
Oh yeah, they didn't know about Cypherpole being at Wano. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I had to look that up real quick.
Yeah, so that's definitely a potential. Like, I think it is interesting that they brought that up in the context, in proximity to Drake. That really piqued my interest there.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we could say the tower with the lightning thing. It has to do with basically NL coming down and taking out Big Mom. No, I'm joking, but
yeah,
it has to do with Kid's ascension, basically.
Yeah, I think so because I recognized with the tarot deck, I played Persona, where that's a big thing in the games. People represented by tarot cards, and the tower is always like a big change. That character is related with big change in their lives. So I kind of knew what was happening. Also, it's kind of funny that Zoro uses the tower climb sword technique to defeat Hawkins' strawman.
Oh yeah,
when he first showed up. I don't know if
That's cool.
I don't know if that's irony uh, or if it's all 5D chess by Oda, or he's just a good writer.
He is. I think there is something poetic that both Killer and Zoro fought Hawkins at
Yeah,
the end. And I'm kind of glad that our headcanon and our predictions were wrong and that they never switched sides, because I do like the idea that you have the supernova that weren't ambitious, who kind of sold out. They aren't fit to be the king because they're not willing to risk, and they don't believe enough into their abilities, into luck, basically. So it's cool to see one supernova beat another supernova who have a completely different worldview
yeah,
with how they view piracy.
yeah. Not all of them have to be allies. Uh, Although I would have bet when the supernova first showed up that Hawkins would have been an ally over Bege.
That's true. That's yeah. I would not have expected. Yeah, I always thought Beige was just gonna be some fodder that would get taken out earlier, but he's proved to be a more integral part to the story
Yeah,
than most of the supernovas.
yeah. Especially in the most important cover story with Pound, our favorite character.
God, don't bring that up. I'm so angry about that. Um, yeah, no. So I genuinely enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to seeing the Apu Drake thing continue. Most likely get resolved next chapter. Maybe we'll see an update on Zoro or Sanji again, and also some progression with the Big Mom stuff. But definitely, Oda's been hitting it out of the park lately. Really enjoyed this chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, I yeah, I was looking at what we have left in to do with the raid, and because I was kind of theorizing that we were going to be done with Wano by the end of 2021. I don't think that's the case anymore because in the stuff we have to do, we have to deal with Onigashima falling and Yamato and Momo. We have to do Sanji versus Queen, Sora versus King, Law and Kid versus Big Mom. I didn't even put down Apu versus Drake because I had forgotten about them because they were so plot insignificant. But we have to deal with that. Luffy versus Kaido, and the most important battle, Raizo versus Fukurokuju.
Absolutely. And we still don't even know where Denjiro is. He's just kind of been gone,
Yeah.
running around in the background.
Oh yeah, and Orochi is still wandering around too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot to go for it. But I hadn't even thought about Drake versus Apu. So yeah, I think that might be the next thing that we're going to. But I think that I think more so that we're going to see a little bit of Luffy versus Kaido because it's been a couple of chapters since we've cut back to them. Not as the main part of next chapter, but yeah, this doesn't really have anywhere to lead into. So I think it'll just be a surprise with what next chapter is going to hold. And there's no break next week, so that'll be good.
There we go. No.
Lead
So
us out.
so again, thank you everybody for listening to the Galley La Podcast, and it's been cool to get another video right after this. And thankful to Oda for bringing us this amazing series. So please like if you like the video, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.